Alrighty, folks, we're back with Mr. Stephen Down from Velocity Mortgage. And obviously, if you've been watching my channel for the last 2 weeks or so, you realize I am in Las Vegas working with Mr. Bryan Lebo to try to find a property, second home, primary. We're not quite sure yet, but Bryan Lebo, thank you for all you do. We're actually seeing him later this evening again to look at some stuff. But, Stephen, we're going to talk about a deal that Bryan Lebo and I are kicking around. So why don't you do the marketing thing first?
Although, again, I work very happily for Velocity Mortgage Capital. All the ideas and topics discussed on this channel, that of my own. So let's get going.
Yeah, I just want to keep the audience open on what we're doing. This is by no means something we haven't written an offer yet, but Bryan and I are actively kicking around this deal. We're trying to pencil it out together, figure out where we could come in. But Bryan and I were out shopping in a part of Vegas, and we stumbled across a home that frankly is overpriced, significantly overpriced and wrecked. So we were just kicking it around, right? We were looking through, and it's like this is too much of a product in wrong area for Olivia and I. And then I get to the car and I go, Bryan, that looks like an excellent flip. You've been in Vegas for 20 years, right? You've done a lot of these. Mm-hmm. He's like, you're right. Yeah. Right? There's a lot wrong with it, but nothing structural, nothing mechanical, right? It's just
right.
It's just
good bones. You just need some, yeah.
It's just well used, right? And it's old enough where we're just going to fully gut everything and start over. It's like we're not saving anything, right?
Brand new house, yeah.
So he's like, cool. Do you know anybody that could help us here? And I'm like, well, I got this guy, Stephen Dow, Velocity Mortgage. He's done deals with me before. He's got this ARV product. He's like, well, let's send him numbers, which I did. And I said, and figure out what it would cost. So I'm just going to run through the numbers from my memory. And again, I want you to share with the audience if you want to pull it. Or actually, you can pull up the email if you want, because I want everybody to see the costs. But here are the numbers. You ready
now,
for
remember,
this?
Though, these are Michael Zuber costs.
Yeah, you could put the real numbers on there if you want, just so we don't mislead anybody. Yeah, no, put the real numbers on there. I know I get a little extra attention because I give you a half hour of my life every week. Okay, it's all right.
You earned it, brother. You earned it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that big a saving. So put real numbers on them. But so here's the deal, right? So this property is listed at almost 1.2.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this: if it was dialed in, it would be worth 1.2. So the number, right? I don't know who set the price, but from the outside, you could see why 1.2 made sense. I mean, from the outside, it looks like every other house in the area, and 1.2 is right. Unfortunately, when you open the front door, it's not worth that. Right? It's just not even close. So Bryan and I were kicking it around. The first thing we did together, because again, he's done a lot of these, is we tried to ballpark repair budget. And we picked about 200 grand. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we kicked in the fact that we would probably need 6 to 8 month hold period. Right? Because again, this is a monster house. And then I kicked around the price that I would want, right? The price that I would tackle this. Because again, it's a new thing. It's a new area. It's above the median, which I generally don't recommend. But Bryan Lebo,
Bryan's
been in the area.
I was just going to mention that, but I didn't want to say because I'm like, I think Mike was saying below the median if you guys do the flip. Anyway, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Yeah. Again, we're playing with this. We've got to get it for the right level. I do not want anybody to be doing these things. This could be a complete catastrophe. And oh, by the way, the seller hasn't even agreed to our price yet. So let's be clear. And we won't pay a penny more than 700 grand. So again, ARV is 1.2. Mm-hmm. My max price is 700. My repair budget is 200. Mm-hmm. So I sent that to you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all right, Mr. Stephen Dow, Bryan Lebo and I are at least kicking around this opportunity. And those are all the numbers I gave you, right? I said ARV is 1.2, 200K repair budget,
right?
700K purchase. What do you got? And and you basically sent back the following email. Why don't you sketch out what you sent us back?
Well, basically, for a seasoned flipper like yourselves, we would cover 80% of the purchase price, and typically anywhere from 80 to 100% of the rehab budget, depending upon the overall ARV. I mean, obviously, just to we want to make sure the juice warrants the squeeze, so to speak, as far as us ponying up the money. So from that standpoint, I mean, the upside was tremendous. So total loan amount initially was going to be 720. So basically, we're going to be covering 80% of the purchase price, and in this case, initial calculation would be 80% of the rehab. So the total loan amount was going to be 720. The rate is 10.49%, 30-year fixed. Oh, see, not 30. 12-month interest only loan, no prepay.
Yep.
30 days to start the rehab, 6 months to complete it, but it's still 1 year, 1 year loan.
Yep.
And then the cost for that, I think, well, the majority of the points could actually be paid on the exit
at the
out
end.
of our right,
which is something you offer to everyone. That's not a Zuber special.
No. So that is an actual feature with our product that allows the buyer to kick the can down the road, at least for the actual acquisition costs, to then come out of pocket, out of the equity, instead of out of pocket. So it definitely helps when you, especially for first time flippers, when they need that lower cost of capital to acquire the property, and while they're kind of stabilizing it and getting a renter in there, that's usually the best thing. And then they don't have to come out of pocket as much, and it helps to just use our money, increase the value, and then pull the equity out of that. So
if memory serves, we're talking about a $6,500 payment thereabouts. I'm just maybe 60.
From what I can remember, I think I can do the math.
No, it's fine. It's all right. Again, the reason I wanted to bring that up is if we're looking at 6 months, Brian and I would be talking about a 60,000. No, it would be, so let's see, 68 times 6, 30. Call it a $45,000 hold, right? Which you need in a margin. Let's talk about the draws, right? Because we're going to be getting part of that. The loan amount at 720. We're not getting all of that at closing. We're getting part of that as draws. Typically 3 draws, correct?
Well, in our case, it's 3 disbursements. And so how it works is that, we don't actually give you a good lump sum at the signing table. We impound that amount. And then normally you should have enough money to maybe start the first phase of the rehab. Once that phase has been completed, we send an inspector out to the property to make sure the work up to that point has been done with the code. Then we release the first disbursement, and then so on and so forth for the next 2 phases. Yeah.
And again, that's very common. Again, this is not about getting 720 loan up front on a 700 purchase. That would be ridiculous. This is very, very standard product and something, again. So Bryan, Lebo, as I mentioned earlier, Stephen, we're going to meet later today. We're going to go one more time and kick this around. We've actually, because we're just starting this, we found a couple other properties we might look at. So who knows? Bryan, Lebo, and I might do something together. But if we do, we will come to you, because we don't want to use all our cash to, do a flip. So if anybody else wanted to do something like this, how do they reach out to you and learn about ARV Pro?
Again, just SDAO@velocitymortgage.com, which is my email address. Subject line, please put the acronym ORAAT to make it past the firewall. Body of the email, brief description, what you're looking for. City and state would be great. Address would even be better. Mid FICO score and the best phone number to reach you at, and I'll be in touch within 24, 48 hours.
All right, buddy. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. I'll send you a note later today. Have a great weekend. All right.
You too, man. Take care. Thanks for everything.
Yep.